Yes. Right. Thank you for the good introduction. So it's still time, it's still morning and not afternoon. So we'll start off. And I know everyone is eager for the next coffee break that is going to come in. So we'll try and get in some good insights before that, right? Now, so the thing is, everyone knows about EV. I mean, I don't need to make any introduction. What I would only like to add before we get into the panel discussion is when you looked at the auto sector before EVs, there was basically you had very few stakeholders. I mean, you had your oil marketing companies selling petrol, diesel. You had your auto OEMs, your autocoms, your dealers, your service guys. That's about it. But when it's come to EVs or even other alternate technologies, there's a whole host of new models that have come up, new stakeholders that have come, and I think the three of you sitting on the floor, sitting on the dais, would represent a small, or not a small, but represent the new kind of companies that have come up thanks to EVs. So, say for example, you've got battery charging, battery swapping, you've got charging infra, you've got battery manufacturers, you've got somebody's only making BMS, you've got financiers that have come in, you've got recyclers that are coming in. So basically the EVs, the advent of EVs has opened up the automobile sector to a whole host of, one I would say a whole host of models, different business models, and secondly, more importantly, also a lot of capital is now started flowing in to support this. Earlier you just had the traditional OEMs, you've got newer players coming in, newer capital flowing in. So with that, drawing on that line, especially on EVs, what other thing is important is your battery. Battery idly accounts for about 40 to 50%, of course, depending on the vehicle type and vehicle size. So that plays a key component. So starting off with batteries, 10 years ago, Elon Musk spoke about seeing battery price at $100 per kilowatt hour. And I think some of it I would say, it's almost there for some LFP segments. In others, we may see it happen this year or in the next couple of years. So let's start off with battery prices. What is your outlook on battery prices? How do you expect that to, how do you expect battery prices going ahead, and do you expect this downtrend to continue, especially, with things in India where lithium has been found, or do you expect, the prices to see a jump as it did during COVID?
Thank you. First of all, thank you for inviting me here. I'm from DNA Netra, so it's a subsidiary of DNA, and we had started our business for one of the major aspect of the battery manufacturing. We are providing the machinery for manufacturing of the batteries. First of all, I just want to put a point here. Mr. Adani has said, prices are going down day by day. Yes. But of course, in India, there are many miles to go. And when we talk about how the prices has been reduced, if I remember correctly, in 2019, it was something around $250 approximately. Now it has been reduced in approximately 4 to 5 years. Now it is in $125 and further would reduce to $110 afterwards. There are many aspects to see behind this. Battery as a whole has many components in it. Everybody knows that. So it might be a lithium. So it has lithium inside. So once another component is then the separator, right? Then another component is when cell is formed. Then it has to be assembled together and grouping has to happen, right? Then again a component come as a battery. Now in the battery, when we say the raw material, which is how we can reduce the price, that is a question. So first of all, there are many components in it. Second is how we can reduce prices. We can now we are importing the product as a cell, and battery has been manufacturing over here. So like the component is available in India when we like lithium is available in India now. So if we extract that lithium from J&K and from Bangalore, then of course the price would get reduced further. Apart from that, when we say the raw material is available in India, then people are saying like separator should be available. The separator can be developed here, right? Another can be a point where manufacturing comes into picture. when like AI has to be strategically implemented in the manufacturing, then the misuse or these byproducts or the जिसे बोलते हैं अपन कि wastage would get reduced, right? And another aspect which I want to highlight here over here is people should adapt to the e-vehicles. Now, I am seeing day-to-day life, people are using the EVs. ESS is also coming. That is, storage systems is also coming. Once all the generators would be replaced by a battery generator, this ESS, then battery storage system would enhance the demand for the battery. Once the demand for the battery would be more, then the infrastructure would has to develop. Once the infrastructure has to develop, the battery prices has to come down. So there are many aspects to it, but only point is one should adapt to the what is available here, and for that it's a chicken egg situation. So what should come first? So someone has to come in, whether it's a government. I think government has already played a role. Now we should not see towards the government for the incentives and the PLI scheme. I think we should also participate as an investor. Like in the last session, Mr. Uday has said, yes, we have to participate. Of course, profit has to be on, but for that we need to take time. And of course, battery is not the only thing, I think. Apart from batteries, there are many components attached to the battery. That's a BMS, right? And the software also. So we as a DNA Netra are also participating in developing the software. Because only battery cannot can't be taken as a e-vehicle. So there are many associations attached to it. So I think we will go along and get the more insight regarding the batteries, right? So ESS is coming. So once the ESS, why I'm saying again and again ESS, because generator has to replace with the ESS, storage capacity has to, so cell has to be made here, then battery has to be made here, whether it's a prismatic cell, whether it's a pouch. So not only in EVs, we are using in laptops, we are using in coming tablets also. So we as a DNA, what we are participating is to provide the good machinery over here, whether it's a manual machinery, because people has to sit together and do the assembly, whether it's an automatic machine where the batteries has to manufacture within a night, and so you also provide the machinery. So these machineries will also add or point to in the reduction of the price, yes, because no wastage would be available. All is automatic, all is traceable. So I think that is my point here. Thank you.
Great. So I'd like to introduce first, I'm Rohan Singh, I'm founder of ZipBolt and also its subsidiary ZipTrax. So we look at life cycle management of batteries and electric vehicles. I think taking from the earlier speaker, the aspects of splitting the battery into various components and then looking at where we can see price reduction, where we can see quality improvement in various components is going to be very important. Definitely, we have found resources of lithium and other minerals in the strategic blocks. So indigenization and domestic production of these minerals will be important to reduce the prices. He was speaking about the BESS. So BESS prices, I think already they are almost half the EV cell prices because you have a larger scale per deployment. So we are seeing this happen over a period of last 3-4 years that prices have come down, but we're also seeing on the other side that they have not been, the reduction in price has not been similar or at that level as it has been in China. So because they are controlling the entire value chain, they are able to even, bring it below, say, right now the prices in China are around $40 a kilowatt hour. So that's the kind of pricing that Indian companies will also want to reach once we have various different components of the value chain figured out and production happening within our country for the minerals, for the electrolytes, for the separators, and for the cells. We're already pretty good in terms of our capacity for manufacturing battery packs, because that was the outlay under the planned phased manufacturing program. And with the PLI, we will also look at some reduction under the cell prices. So overall, the projected prices should be below $50 as we move to that goal of 50 gigawatt hour by, say, 2027, 28. And we will definitely look at some of the companies who are setting up gigafactories in India as the key leaders who are going to reduce these costs. Maybe not immediately, but maybe over a period of next 3 years.
Hello. Hello. I will quickly introduce myself. I am Mahesh. I am leading new business verticals at Vidyut Tech. So Vidyut Tech is into battery as a service financing model. We can definitely talk about that later. But to complement the point of views put across by fellow speakers, so I look at the battery price, or for that matter, any product price in 2-3 ways. There are 2-3 layers. First, a plain availability of the lithium. Then there comes the second layer of proprietary technology of converting that lithium into the cell, or what we can call cell pouch. So definitely as time passes, the second part of the manufacturing, converting lithium into the cell pouch, that price component will definitely come down because there will be competition in the market. There will be more manufacturers of the capital good, that is the depositors or the machines which convert lithium into the pouch. So that part will definitely come down. But if we look at the cost of the lithium and the scarcity of the lithium, then that is something where opportunistic exploitation by the global suppliers of the lithium will definitely happen. So just to give the quick analogy with, let's say, oil and gas companies, India still struggles with high import cost. We have best-in-class refineries, but we don't have that raw crude oil. Similarly, on the lithium front, if we really need to be independent and be, to pull down the prices to sustainably grow the EV industry, as rightly pointed out, we have some lithium deposits identified. We need to start mining at the industrial level. And at the same time, we need to look at creating domestic technology capability of creating those capital goods which manufacture that cell. And secondly, we should also be looking at alternative material or the cell chemistry, such as aluminum air or something else, which needs strong R&D investment. And of course, it's a chicken and egg problem. First, there needs to be a strong market so that capital can flow into R&D part of it. So I think it's a long journey. And apart from just costing, I also look at it from the point of view of supply chain resilience by not being dependent on external countries for technology as well as the raw material which is involved in this entire segment. Yeah.
Right, thanks, Mahesh. So good, you brought this point about capital goods on this. So we'll go to the DNA, the gentleman here from DNA. Now, here what I'd like to speak about is the budget this year. The union budget this year spoke about and reduced, technically made all or abolished all import duties on capital equipment which we use for manufacturing batteries. So with that in place, you also have the PLI scheme, wherein earlier we had 3 players and now you got 4 players, and of course, this is only for batteries. And now you also had other players which are technically in the waiting list, which did not qualify for the PLI, and you've got other major manufacturers setting up. Even without PLI, you got the likes of Amara Raja, Exide, or setting up manufacturing. So one is, how important do you see? I would say, your company would be one such as which is an enabler of local manufacturing. So how important do you see this role, and what else needs to be done to improve batteries? Because we've spoken about, all of you mentioned that for price, of course, raw material availability is important. That is not directly in the hands once we operationalize lithium in JNK and Rajasthan. That gets taken care of. But when it comes to the manufacturing side, because when we're looking at manufacturing across sectors and not just batteries, capital goods is where is the biggest issue, that we are not able to manufacture those goods that are used for manufacturing. Say Musk calls it that he needs to make the machine that makes the vehicles. He's made his own machine. So that is where India is lacking. So what are the steps that the government or the regulators need to take, or even where OEMs need to step in, so that we can start manufacturing the intermediate or capital goods is the most important for manufacturing the end product?
Rightly said. I give you this answer in many phases. Like, I just give you the background how we evaluate, or when we were working as a employee in one of the companies, how people work. I am from a company who is a European company, right? Earlier, in 2003 to till 2019. How they work, because they are from Europe. How they work, they had an office in India. How they work is, they know they have to make a product. Say we take example of, say we need to make a console. Console is a naval product, okay? And okay, we should take a battery as a example, right? How they evaluate is, they import the battery first, 1 year, 2 year, directly buying and selling. Buying and selling. Then BJP come into picture. What they say, no, you should not import like that, because there is no value addition. This is a good, correct point, right? So now as a businessman, what I had to do, I had to break down the full product into small products, right? So that I can avoid the duty which I think custom has already lived in. Today, I tell you, it's really difficult to import. If you have a BIS also, then also it's difficult. And I think that we are on the correct path, right? China भी डंडा बजा के काम करता है, तो बीजेपी भी और इंडिया भी डंडा बजा के काम करना पड़ेगा. Although we as a businessman is difficult for us, but we need to accept. Now, answer to your question is, now when we break down that battery into a smaller parts, now we need to be dependent upon other countries, because they are the already leaders in that. And this is good about, we should adopt the same thing. So we import the small parts. Say, for example, we take a, like we had taken a example for console, or we take an example for a tablet, right? Tablet is more relatable. We import LCD, we import battery, we import motherboard, we import plastic parts. We import it. Now the question is, how we can import parts to make in India. Now we break down, once I break down into battery, we take on battery. Okay, we will make a battery here. How we can make a battery? From cell. Like, so cell, okay, we got a cell from outside. Now we assemble it, we do the welding, we do the welding here, we put a BMS here. Now the BMS is also another thing. Now it should be available in India, right? We as a DNA, what we would do is, we provide a machinery for making a battery. Now how a normal person, normal businessman who has no money or less money like us, how he built a business. PLI scheme is good, but for a smaller entrepreneurs, it's difficult, right? As you said. So what my suggestion is, how we are doing is, we put a small money for buying a small machine. Not a full machine, full automatic line, no. We make a small machine, import it, like we are providing it, and we put a mechanics over here, all electronics wiring here. We just buying a circuitry from other country, right? The small machine is very simple and not very costly. Suppose we take example of prismatic battery, right? Prismatic or a pouch battery. Pouch battery has a special soldering kind of thing. It has to be on PCB through a machine. So that machine cost around 5 to 6 lakhs. So why should we want to make a full battery at one go? So once we convert a machine, small machine, 5 to 6 lakhs, we purchase a machine and we start manufacturing the batteries, and then we sell it. Then we come to BMS. So it has to be step by step. We should not dependent upon PLI at this moment. I think when we are we are giving machine to a big company in Hyderabad. They had a good funding, 300, 400 crores, right? Now people has to dependent upon the investors also at that time. They are putting pressure on you, how you have to work, how you have to work. So again, there is a pressure on a company as well. So start from a small line, then convert that small line into a big line, manual only. Then manual convert it to an automatic line. Then automatic line converts into an AI platform. Then AI platform comes into a vast, big gigabyte factories. That's the only way to happen. That's the only way to happen.
Excellent. So I think that really talked about how we can start going from scratch to reaching up to scale. So that's excellent. So now, Rohan, coming to you on battery swapping, right? For example, India released a draft battery swapping policy, but it never got finalized. And when we look at battery swapping and when we speak to players, we see that it's taken off, say, in the e-rickshaw segment, which is the L3 segment. Some bit of it also is in the L5, and you got a couple of two-wheeler OEMs that are doing battery swapping. What is needed for widespread adoption? I'll tell you, when we speak to players, we hear that, for example, how do you ensure that batteries are available across? Say across the nation, or okay, right now it's related also to geography, that you have it available in geography. But say if you want to use what do you say? Say if you want to use a car from, or say a two-wheeler going from point A to point B, how do you ensure that availability is there for swapping stations across? How are people handling this issue, or how do you think, what is the way ahead for ensuring battery swapping becomes as democratized as maybe petrol, diesel filling stations are today?
That's a very good question. And the first part contains the answer why it did not pick off. Because a lot of companies went into swapping with their own systems, with their own designs, with their own connectors, without the outlook of looking at this from a network approach or from a kind of grid that they need to create, right? And there was a battery swapping draft policy that came out, but then there were two camps that got created after that. One which was supporting some kind of interoperability, the others who were more like, we have our own ecosystem, we don't want somebody else's battery, we don't want somebody else's low-end parts to come into our ecosystem. And that was sort of way back. I mean, speaking today in 2025, that's almost like 2.5, 3 years back. There have been improvements in the quality of systems, like AIS related norms have been changed, and quality has been improved now. So in terms of interoperability coming in, now the market, looking at the market, it's going to be coming in more from the financer point of view. Right now, those operators are entirely dependent on financiers for those batteries. And now these financiers can dictate to them to look at some similar type of shapes, some similar types of connectors, some similar types of powertrains. So that will now be the factor going forward, because everybody wants to make their own battery and their own BMS and their own packs, right? So definitely I will say mine is better than his, and he will say, no, mine is better, right? So now if you have to get the finance, right, you have to speak with NBFCs and finance fintech players. And they understand that they need some basic form factors. They need some data coming in from those batteries, which is reliable. And they need some, obviously, scale that they can get. Now, while the first two aspects are coming in, where your AIS 156 has brought in some quality standards, data is now coming in, right? So those two aspects have been ticked. But the third aspect on scale has to be basically on a network. And you can't create a network by saying that, okay, I will operate only my 1,000 rickshaws where my battery swapping goes, and others, they will not enter my domain. So it will start looking at some kind of consolidation as we move forward, because that will be driven by financing companies.
So I think, yeah, it comes naturally to you. But another follow-on question is, while you do, okay, actually, let's go ahead with this, then I'll go ahead with the question. So please go ahead with.
I would like to add one point to what you just mentioned. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to have a look at draft policy, but there is a one angle which also needs to be taken care of. Like you said about interoperability, right? There has to be some regulatory body sort of which will give the protection to the end customer that no matter what, they will get certain kilometers included. I mean, the contractual obligation, ensuring the contractual obligation. Like, for example, let's take the example of insurance, right? There are many insurance companies out there, but you have IRDAI, which says that certain things has to be followed and the contractual obligation, and if not there, then people can go and dispute that, okay, this wasn't done right by the particular insurer. Similarly, I think in battery swapping, if I purchase a new vehicle, probably I will get something, one battery, and now when that is going to get revolved, it will keep getting swapped. So in that scenario, what if a particular operator shuts down? Then who is going to ensure that I get my due 2 lakh kilometers, which price of which was included in the MRP of the vehicle? So having a policy framework around that will definitely help the adoption from the demand side of it.
Adding to one point here also, charging connector is there. So there are 3 to 4 charging connectors: the Charge Remo, the CCS, the GB/T. Only 3. In India, I think CCS is more prominent, and Charge Demo is also there. So like this, the battery also has to be in the same platform. There would be only 2 to 3 or 4 type of batteries available. As per that, the connector has to be available in 2-wheeler and 3-wheeler. So accordingly, the rationalization will happen. In this way, the adoption will be fast, and the swapping station would be successful in that case. We had seen a swapping station in 2019 also, and people are not making business. That's the only investment as per them. Then Exicom is coming into picture. They had made very good swapping stations there. So the policies will come, I think. This is the way. This is the only way to happen. Like, because people are, what I know is people are importing cells from not more than 4 to 5 companies from China or from Taiwan. Only 4 to 5. But here there are around 1,000 plus companies who are buying from 4 to 5 companies only. So it will get rationalized over here sometimes.
Right. So coming back to, just staying on swapping for a short time more. Say when I am an OEM, now let's look at the OEM perspective, right? Say for example, if I am an OEM X and OEM Y. Now in a ICE vehicle, what sets the vehicle apart from the other is how well the engine works with the transmission, right? Now when it comes to an EV, the major thing that sets apart is of course the battery and the motor. Now the thing is, a motor can be done by OEM, but we know that OEMs are not manufacturing motors, they're importing it, or they are sort of using it from the auto component guys. There are hardly 5 or 6 major motor manufacturers. So what sets apart again is a battery. How well your BMS is coordinating with the battery and how well the motor is delivering, and of course then the whole software aspect, which is inside the vehicle. But basically the thing is that if battery is what is setting one car apart from the other, why will an OEM be okay with swapping? Simply because, say for example, if you are allowing swapping, basically you are losing control over what sets one car apart from the other. Basically, USP, say for example, for a Tesla is that apart from the excellent looks and the features, it is that it offers a much higher range compared to the others. It offers a much better acceleration. Say if I'm removing a Tesla battery and adding a generic battery when it goes for swapping, because I cannot control it. So why will an OEM, or is there incentivization needed for OEMs? Do we come with a common battery standard? But if we are coming with a common battery standard, or we make common batteries that are being used across, what that does is that takes the differentiation out from an OEM. Then there is only 20% differentiation that can come in. So from an OEM's perspective, what needs to change or what needs to happen for battery swapping to take off?
See, one thing is like a mobile. Mobile has earlier, that is a removable battery. Now because of the safety, it has to change to a non-removable battery, right? Now, if I talk about the other aspect, why people are only dependent upon battery? As a businessman, वो बैटरी को इतना important component क्यों मान रहा है? क्योंकि its cost is around 70 to 80%, right? Now he is not looking at the other aspect which can make more business for them. If it's a paradigm shift. I'm just trying to put a paradigm shift, because why he's saying he's my baby. Why I don't want this battery to be swapped from other. If he makes money, अगर वो धंधा बना रहा है किसी और चीज से, तो उसमें उसको देने में कोई दिक्कत नहीं आएगा. अब वो बिजनेस बनाने के लिए there are around 30 to 35 business lines which are available, which people know, but they are not investing their money, they are not investing their mind. We have made 35 businesses line wise. It's be it software, be it services, be it the small components, be it the lithium ion, be it the motors, right? And then services also, there are around 4 to 5 you can say lines are available there. Software, there are 4 to 5 lines are also available. BMS manufacturing is there. Out of that, the software in the BMS is another one challenge which people are not doing, not many companies. There are few companies which are doing it. Now, when we charge, talking about the charging station, EVSCs, there also the people are not talking about the protocol, the OCPP 2.0. People are working on 2.1 or 2.2. They will come in coming years, but we are still on 1.6. Why people are only talking about battery? There should be another. Once they talk about the software, they divert their mind. No, then the policy will come and the rationalization would happen. That would change. I think so.
No, I think that's a very good way to look at it, and some companies have already started doing it. Say, for example, again, talking about the EV godfather, which is Tesla, they've started doing that with FSD. FSD is chargeable separately, the full self-driving. Even Mahindra is doing that, wherein some features need to be paid for separately. So I think that is where OEMs are going. But the issue there, that at least my analysis is that Indians are not ready to pay, while the customer use is changing, profile is changing, we still think that if you bought a car, because mainly we are used to ICE vehicles, that I get everything involved. I don't want to pay to, say BMW had this, that if you want to use the iDrive, the Apple Music with iDrive, you have to pay subscription after 2 years.
We have to go inside out. What we are doing is outside in. It's very difficult path. We have to go from a small budding, then out. Software, then OCPP, then small things we have to make, nickel plating, battery, this bus bars, which we are already making actually, So then it will evolve, and then we see a full product, it will reduce cost.
I think from the OEM point of view, apart from your NIO in China, no other OEM has, four-wheeler OEM has gone with battery swapping. I think the point there being that there's a huge amount of cost involved. Tesla did start off with battery swapping a long time back, yeah. And there was another company called The Better Place, which was competing about a decade back, which also got Renault to have a swappable battery vehicle, right? But technology was different that time. Right, so battery swapping as such works for two-wheelers, three-wheelers, where there's a commercial angle. where you have control on your 1,000, 5,000 scooters, and you can bring them in, monitor those batteries, gauge, how Sun Mobility and this Exicom and some of the other companies have been doing it. I think that is where OEMs are working with them to make scooters that are compatible with, having two batteries that are replaceable. So like Hero Vida has started off with that as a USP, that we have two batteries that are replaceable. You can charge one without being, connected in that. So like that, I think the convenience of swapping is immense. But then it also works the other way, that because of swapping, you will inherently, have a higher cost and dependency on the network. I think a couple of OEMs that you were mentioning earlier, Bounce, I think they started off with this. Now they're bringing on, I think, a couple of more scooter manufacturers onto their platform. So I think that kind of collaborative work within the industry would be required for getting more and more OEMs, at least in the two-wheeler space, interested. Three-wheeler space is too fragmented, frankly, e-rickshaw space, though some larger companies would probably want to get in there, but yeah, I think it's too fragmented there.
But as per our knowledge or what we are thinking, we had find a CAGR like how the business will rise. The two-wheeler business will stop. Stop in the sense low, medium, high. Starting low, then medium, then high. The two-wheeler business will remain medium till 2030 after that also. Because more and more players are coming, only 4 to 5 players will sustain. TVS, Honda, Ather, or Hero, one more. Others will get down. So that is the thing. And moreover is, when we talk about this EV, then recycling is more important. Recycling and collaboration between other companies. China is one such country. We should accept that. China is one such country where all other companies are connected together. If you need one component, they recommend other companies also. Similarly here, when we start recycling the product like batteries also, then we have a raw material. Then we can again make a battery. Then again, the other company should recommend other companies also. So similarly, the ecosystem will develop. We have to think that way, I think.
Here, I would also like to add that, expecting a ready-made government policy is also slippery slope. Like for example, fast charging and battery swapping are competitive technology. And then if we start expecting that policy shift happens, which will help battery swapping, then suddenly the innovation efforts or the R&D efforts on the fast charging front gets de-incentivized. I think that this is a new technology space, and we need to hit the fine balance between free market and government control. So that balance should definitely be managed well.
Yeah, Devesh, sorry, you have something to add?
I just want to
Please.
add here also, China is this, I'm not talking bad about them, but they are pushing the EVSEs over here, although they had stopped making EVSEs at their end, because all their cars are Wi-Fi charging on the roads without connecting the EVSEs. They are using that. They are pushing the new technology in other countries, but here in India they are pushing EVSEs. That is also one of the thing. And Reliance company all knows that lithium they are not talking. They are talking about sodium batteries. Maybe in coming days hydrogen would also come. But yes, of course, battery would sustain. Like ESS would come. The generator would be replaced. And in this way, I think we will rise in that way.
Right, so Mahesh, we'll spend a couple of minutes on financing because that plays a very important role. And when we speak to financiers, bankers, what they want to understand is there are two models, right? One is, we leave BaaS aside, we'll come to BaaS later, but in a regular vehicle also, when I go and sell a vehicle, basically I've got the I have already well-defined curve that how my prices are going to come down. But in EVs, that's very difficult to do. One, because in India, we've not gone through multiple cycles wherein we see how value deteriorates. More importantly, what is also missing in India is that how do you determine the pricing or say, for example, how do you split the, say, after 8 years, if you look to sell your vehicle, what value do you assign to a battery versus what do you assign to what is left in the vehicle except the battery? So how are financiers solving this? How is, say, for example, your company coming in solving this, wherein you are assuring, or how do you ensure that there is a secondary market being developed? Because without a healthy secondary market, especially in a company like India, in a country like India, where we do not rely more on leasing, it's more about asset ownership. So when asset ownership comes in, secondary market becomes very important. So how do we go about solving this issue?
Right. So I will take a step back and go into my previous experiences. Like prior to Vidyut Tech, I was working with City Flow. It is into bus operations. So there we had approached a few financiers, to onboard electric buses, and we were new back then, so we didn't know about the EV space, and we were we were surprised to hear the kind of excuses that we got. The interest rates were higher than the IC engines vehicle, and the reasons we got was secondary market is not there. So in case you default, what we will do with the asset? So there is no established resale market. Secondly, this product itself is new. IC engines is kuch nahi to bhi, it is 100 years old technology now. So and it is not financier's job to get into the technological nuances. It's a pure play data science game. We looked at the previous data. क्या डिफॉल्ट रेट है, क्या मेरे को रिकवरी मिल रही है, बेस्ड ऑन दैट आई विल कैलकुलेट माई रिस्क, आई विल अंडर राइट द एसेट एंड देन I will offer a particular interest rate. Now this data itself is not available in very ample manner for electric vehicles. So that is the first problem to solve. The financiers and the OEMs needs to work together to come up with a proper underwriting model. Battery degradation patterns, those needs to be studied properly so that financiers will be comfortable financing electric vehicles. Coming into the technical nitty-gritties of it, of course there is a life associated to the IC engine vehicle, but practically I mean, you maintain the vehicle well and you can keep running the vehicle as long as you want, but there is an expiry date on the battery, because after certain charging cycles the battery is going to degrade. So like if there is high utilization user, then the financer is worried because he will extract all the value out of the battery in 2 years and there is 3 years, 10 years left, and then he defaults. What do I do with that? In IC engine, that risk is not there, broadly not there. So that is another problem, and that is where alternative financing model comes into the picture, which we will definitely touch upon in the later part. So these are the broad things. Firstly, uncertainty. Traditionally, financiers not getting into the technical nitty-gritties, lack of data availability. Are few things, and a lack of strong secondary market are few things which needs to be solved, for financers to be really comfortable with EV financing.
Excellent. So I think, gentlemen, that was a great discussion. We've unfortunately run out of time, so we can't continue it. But we are happy to take a couple of questions from the audience. We'll have somebody with a mic go around. In case somebody has a question, please do let us know, and we can direct it either to one of the panelists in particular or in general, and we'll see who can answer that. So any questions from the audience? In case you don't have questions, we can then have closing remarks from each of the panelists.
I think I have one point to add in the last topic that was created. So in terms of financing, the vehicle and the battery. Now here we have a bifurcation of these two. The IC engine vehicle, we never said that, okay, engine badal jayega, 10 saal baad to kar lenge. But here you have a battery that is, generationally changing. So for example, E-Verito was one of the first vehicles in 2019. Now today, that battery and that vehicle is obsolete, right? The 72 volt architecture, there are no more cars in 72 volt. But then those cars are still on the road today, right? And companies who are into second life, such as ours, or into battery recycling, like Ziptrax. So we have to look at how do we, either extend the lifespan or get a justifiable value back for initial customers. Now, obviously replacing that with a new battery would probably improve the, it will make it a super vehicle immediately today, right? But then it may not be compatible, right? Or could be some kind of hurdles coming in from the OEM and the CMV side, right? So that needs to be looked at from a regulatory point of view as well. How do you enable the extended use of that product so that the support is provided from the OEM side, from the manufacturer side, and especially when somebody has already financed that vehicle. Now, their investment should not go down the drain because technology has changed suddenly. At least some part of that risk has to be mitigated, right? So maybe recycling could put in some part as a value back or a buyback. That's what we are trying to do. But I think that's going to be one significant chunk of discussion. Yes.
Devesh, you had some last closing remarks.
So actually, in that case, what my friend has said, the recycling will come into picture. He will go to a grey market, not to grey market, to a 5-star recycling company and say, this is my car, this is the battery, kindly recycle it like a gold. Like a gold, 22 karat gold, X-ray, usko pigala, okay, 22 karat. Here also, lithium is also a gold. He will extract all the lithium. He said, okay, 1 kg, 2 kg, okay, you will get same money, take it. Maybe 10% less, maybe 20% less. It will be that way. It would be that way. Something like that.
At least some kind of market link pricing, right? Right.
Okay. Thank you. Excellent. So we run out of time. So thank you, gentlemen, for an excellent discussion. I hope it was useful for the audience as well. Thank you.